Now it's my pleasure to welcome Ana Mercado, Race Forward Heal Together Initiative National Lead Organizer. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. I'm really here representing the Public School Strong Organizing Initiative. What that is that it's educators, students, family members, and community members building power together at the school board level all across the country and coordinating this local work in a way that builds statewide and national impact. So as Princess noted, the classroom censorship issue is a key part of an existential threat to public education in this country. And taking on an attack at that scale can feel so daunting for regular folks. So what we've done is given folks tools to get started, tried and true first steps of getting a team together and supporting them through actually reaching out in your local community, and doing this in a way that connects all of these federal attacks to actually how is this going to impact my local school, my community, and how do we actually speak out about what the real needs in our community actually are. So to give you a little bit of a picture of where this all is coming from, this started in North Carolina back in April 2023, and we were facing attacks from Moms for Liberty groups all across the state at once. And these were places where, there wasn't an organizer physically there. And so we had one organizer that put out the call to individuals that were really alarmed by the chaos at school board meetings. And they joined a Zoom call and got started with just, how do I go from being an individual taking action to actually being a group, a team, and how do I show up there and not just have it be this parent group versus another parent group, but really start to speak to what brings all of us together, because public education is actually really popular. So within 4 months, they were able to get volunteer teams up and running in 62 out of 100 counties throughout the state. And basically the pro-censorship groups were run out of these school board meetings, and the teams were then able to go on to the next fight around extreme budget cuts at the state level. So we see actions like the Teach Truth Day of Action is really key. You start locally, you start talking to your neighbors and friends about what's really going on and start connecting the dots. And we believe that it's really important to go start with local decision makers. The most local decision makers are your school board members. And we saw that this dynamic that was happening in North Carolina is not unique to that state. And so we really built out supports so that any individual from anywhere in the country can participate in Public School Strong and get the support they need to get started, even if they feel isolated wherever they are. So we now have thousands of people from across the country on our organizing platform, and we are all in on Teach Truth Day of Action. So folks have started creating their actions to engage their communities on this important issue, connecting them to teams that can then push school boards to pass resolutions that push back on censorship and for fully funding public education. And we draw on relationships with statewide groups in Ohio, Michigan, Tennessee, Maine, Colorado, California, Indiana, Florida, New Jersey, Arizona. As you see, it's all across the map. And that's because this is an all hands on deck moment, and everyone is needed. I want to leave you with a little glimpse of what has been possible by having this strategy. It's an example from Tennessee, which faced a huge uphill battle last year with the school voucher bill in a state with pro voucher supermajorities leading that state. And they were backed by billionaires that were running advertising and door knocking campaigns against public education. In the face of these overwhelming odds, they managed to defeat this voucher bill that would have siphoned hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars from public schools and given them to private and religious schools. How did they do it? They started with these teams, public school strong teams, and each team got homegrown local pressure to get school boards to pass resolutions saying this is not good for our area. And from there, these teams moved on to pressuring legislators and making sure that they saw from their constituents that this was critical and that we needed to make sure that vouchers don't go through. And they were able to accomplish something that few thought was possible. And that's because they demonstrated broad support throughout the states, not just the cities. And we see that on this issue of censorship, this is something that we need to be focusing in on, talking to our neighbors and showing that there is broad support for public education. And every child, regardless of zip code, deserves quality, fully funded public education.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Anna. And not just you, but everyone at the Public School Strong campaign. It is grassroots organizing that is going to defeat these truth crime laws, that is going to empower our youth to have the education they deserve. And the example of organizing on the ground level in community after community, state after state, is really what it's going to take to win. So I can't thank you enough. And it's an honor to be able to link arms in the struggle with you. Look forward to the future fights ahead.